Last time on Let's Build a House, we finished the deck flooring, took our time and finished the board and batten and lap siding on the house, and we're overwhelmingly happy with how it turned out. We also installed the garage doors and hopped back up on the porch roof to get the classic farmhouse metal roof complete. This episode, we tie up some exterior finishes on the deck, dig our well, we start adding window trims, door trims, the doors themselves, and our faux beams in the living room. The house is starting to look like the home we designed and not just a construction project. Worth all the effort. Let's build a house. To complete the exterior finishes on the deck, we had to paint the porch posts before we attach the railing. We wanted to buy some nice post wraps and decorative railing one day, but that detail is just not going to fit in our current budget. In the meantime, Amy and I decided we wanted to match the porch post stain to the garage door color. So, we stained a small piece and put it up against the garage door to color check. We have 12 posts to stain, and it took Jenna and I all day to stain them. About halfway through staining these posts, I started to realize that I truly didn't like the look. We wanted a natural light brown, and when the sun would move away, the posts looked almost maroon. After some comfort from Amy and some deep breathing exercises, we decided to go with white paint and keep it simple. Alright, so we're heading to the property today. We're kind of in between a couple things, but we're going to take our sawmill, drop it off at the property, and if you remember, we cut down about 5 to 6 trees earlier in the build, and 2 of them were this big silver maples that were in the way of where we're going to put the foundation. So we're going to cut up those silver maples and hopefully make like a real nice kitchen table out of it, and whatever we can think of throughout the house. So gonna be pretty cool to take those silver maples from standing, drop them, and then make something out of them for the house. So let's see what happens. Well, seeing what happens has finally paid off. It's required by code to have railing on a deck that is 30 inches or higher off of final grade. So we're gonna use our sawmill and the trees we dropped to mill up all the lumber for the deck railing. Once we milled the wood down, we cut all the balusters and railing to paint them black. After the paint dried, Jenna and Owen took time to install the railing in post-to-post sections. Once the sections were built properly, we moved them outside and installed them to the posts. I can't express to you how affordable this turned out to be, and how happy Amy and I are that we didn't settle for the brown stain. This entire build has been about being creative and finding a way to solve problems inside our budget. We didn't like the stain color like we thought, but we solved the problem and smile every time we drive up to the house. Again, it's worth the extra effort. With the exterior of the house pretty buttoned up, it's time to start focusing our efforts on the inside of the house. Smitty decided it was time to call a well drilling company to dig our well. The well drillers have a pretty challenging job. They have to dig through dirt, clay, bedrock, and other things they can't see before they start the job. Their game plan, as stated to me, was to drill at least 180 feet to see if they hit groundwater, and would go to 250 feet before they would have to charge us more for piping and labor. Here's the tip of the drill. The power of this machine is incredible. This is the only reason they'll be able to dig 250 feet through bedrock and clay. As they started drilling, they really hit some serious rock. You could tell by how much fractured bits of stone were being pulled up as the drill went deeper. Once they were able to break through the rock, they hit groundwater, and I felt like we struck gold. With water rushing out, it was time to start adding the pipe that maintains the structure of the hole for the future well. Once the well was set, we dug a trench from the house to the well so we could bring the well pipe in through the foundation. After drilling through the wall, the well guys rolled out the piping, installed it to the well, brought it through the house, and hooked it up to the water pump in the basement. All said and done, we will require a standard filtration and purification system, but the well was tested at providing 25 gallons per minute. I think it's fair to say the well went well. Our next move was to start trimming out the inside of the house. To do this, we started by loading up the poplar that we cut last winter when we were on hold waiting for a permit. Poplar is an awesome species of wood for interior trims. We drove the poplar to the house and immediately started planing and ripping down the material for window extension jambs and window casings. Having this material throughout the house from the sawmill helps us save money, but it also provides a pretty cool story. With the material ready, Smitty gave us a good class on the best way to install the extension jambs. Then he installed one himself, ensuring we were comfortable as somewhat of a novice team to install the jambs throughout the entire house. The extension jamb allows the window frame to fit the window opening. The first step for installation is to clear the window opening of any debris or hanging drywall. Next, we used a 1/4-inch gauge block to ensure the reveal was consistent throughout the window. Next, we shimmed any areas that had a larger reveal than a 1/4 inch. Then, we fastened the poplar jamb to the window opening. We did the exact 4 steps for every window and sliding door in the house. Now that we have finished the extension jambs throughout the house, it's time to start hooping. Now, there's a million dad jokes I can make here, but I'll spare you. It's not time for us to play basketball. Hooping is the act of fastening the window casing on a work table with something called a Craig jig. The Craig jig allows one man to hold the window hoop and drill pocket holes for a concealed screw. Installing these hoops on a table with a Craig jig is infinitely easier than trying to install the window casing around the window one piece at a time. Once we finished constructing the hoops, we walked up to the window, ensured the casing had the same reveal around the window, and nailed it. All that's left is doing these exact steps 32 more times.
I took a little walk just to see the ships coming in. The sun rose up right above the highway.
Once we were done hooping, we started installing the baseboard trim throughout the house. For the baseboard trim, we went with a 6-inch baseboard and installed what we called a rabbet or a trim cap on top. This isn't exactly a standard trim detail. Amy found the detail online and thought it would go well with the style of the house. I think we took a little risk with this trim detail, but it paid off. Once the doors come in, we will tie these baseboards into the door trim for an elevated look. Getting the doors in felt like another massive step forward. The only issue is we have close to 30 doors to install, and only Smitty knows how to hang a door. So it was time for another little lesson from Smitty.
All right, now what I always try to shim is where the pressure on the door is at the hinge. Okay? And we try to marry and mate our shim so the jam stays square. All right?
After a thorough and in-depth class, Drew and I worked separately to install the doors. Installing these doors was a series of pretty technical tasks. A 1/16 of an inch off can really disrupt the function of the door. Step 1. Clear any hanging drywall and debris from the opening. Step 2. Place the door jamb in the opening and pin the top to keep it from moving during installation. Step 3. Shim the hinge side of the jamb and check to make sure the jamb is plumb and true. Step 4. Place the door on the hinges. Step 5. Shim the other side of the jamb until the reveal of the door is consistent. Step 6. Check 46 times to make sure the door looks right. Step 7. Let Smitty hang all the challenging doors. With the doors completed, we shifted gears to framing the supports for our faux beams going in the living room. Jenna and Owen hopped right up and fastened the 2x to the ceiling. These beams will bring a farmhouse touch to our modern farmhouse. Alright, so here's the material for our faux beams in the living room. This lumber was actually sent through a machine to create a rough sawn texture to it. And I'm going to take a Benjamin Moore product called Hidden Valley. It's a semi-transparent stain, and roll over the top of it on the ground. So that way we can cut and install that up on the ceiling already pre-stained, instead of installing it up on the ceiling and risk getting the ceiling stained or creating more effort with staining up on the ceiling. So we're going to do that down here, and I'll show you how it looks before it goes up. One of the funnest things about putting these faux beams up in the living room was how functional we were as a team. In no way are Drew and I God's gift to construction, and Smitty has forgotten more than Drew and I know combined, but today we felt like carpenters. I'm so happy with how these turned out, and boy did they change the feeling of the room. This gets me even more excited for the next episode. It's time to install the kitchen. Let's build a house.
Next time on Let's Build a House.